Sure, appreciate it, Dustin. And again, as always, I appreciate you guys joining us today. I'll start by, well, number one, sharing my condolences to Coach Leach and his family, the Mississippi State football program and community. Coach Leach impacted so many lives, including mine. I can remember coaching against him when he was the head coach at Texas Tech, and I was at New Mexico, and we've run into each other quite a bit on the road. And he's impacted the lives of so many in a positive way, both on and off the field. And so, again, for his family, we send our condolences from the Maryland football family. Obviously, it's been a hectic week since we last had a chance to speak after learning our bowl destination, going down to Charlotte to play a former ACC rival in NC State. We've been busy game planning some of that while also trying to manage and navigate this new world we live in with transfer portal, instant eligibility, recruiting our current team while also going out and recruiting our future team. And our focus has been heavily involved on the recruiting process, both our own team and the future guys coming in here. And our coaches have been on the road dealing with that. We've hosted a number of quality players here this past weekend that certainly we feel can bring great value to our program. We also held our team banquet on Sunday to culminate and highlight the seniors that will be leaving our program, while also introducing our permanent captains for the 2022 season. As you guys know, we do game captains, and then at the end of the year, we have our team, the players, vote on the MVP as well as the permanent captains. And this year's permanent captains, Dante Demas Jr., Talia Tungavailoa, as well as Jacorian Bennett, all have served us well in leadership roles throughout their times here. So, again, congratulations to those guys. And it's a special honor, especially when your teammates vote for you with this award. And certainly each of them has meant a lot to our program. Obviously, with the end of recruiting this weekend, we'll amp up our preparation for the bowl game. We've got a really good NC State team, top 25 program. Dave Doran has done a tremendous job of the consistency of how he's built that thing. And I know our fan base is really excited to get down to Charlotte to play those guys on December 30th in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I know our team is excited about the opportunity to go down to Charlotte, and we're really looking forward to starting that preparation and getting ready for a great opportunity against a good team. Signing day is 8 days away, and so we're trying to close, and we're in and out of plane, trains, and automobiles trying to find the next generation of Terps, and I'm excited about the way this thing is shaping up and definitely looking forward to getting the signing day 8 days away. And with that, I'll open it up to whatever questions you guys may have.
Hey, Coach, I know you just mentioned Mike Leach. Wondering if you could speak a little bit to how you think he sort of impacted the way offensive football is played nowadays in this era.
Yeah, with that air raid system that he was a part of, a veteran coach was with Coach Mummy, who's kind of the innovator of the air raid system, and Mike was there as his right-hand guy. And to just see, I know when the spread offense started taking shape in the late 90s, whether they were at Kentucky, then he goes to Oklahoma, it was different. And I know that he impacted my approach, from a pro-style system to a spread system. And, anybody that's had an opportunity to meet Coach Leach always has a unique story. And he's the first head coach I saw on the road recruiting in blue jeans, and the guy just left an everlasting impact on the game of football, and he'll be definitely missed.
Coach, I wanted to talk a little bit about momentum. I think you'd agree that the way you guys finished last year, including the bowl victory, really propelled you into what you were able to accomplish this year. Could you talk about how this win against NC State could propel you and create some more momentum in your program?
Yeah, if you look the way we design our program, we always talk about the finish. And we look at this bowl game not as the finish, but actually the start of our 23 campaign. As you guys know, and it's well talked about with the opt-outs, the transfers, when we get done with that last game, usually the bowl game for us is kind of a precursor for what it looks like in the future. And if you think back to last year's pinstripe game, guys like Roman Hemby and Antoine Littleton had big games for us, and there was their first opportunity to showcase. And I expect us to see a bunch of our young guys that maybe haven't had the impact this season that they would have liked to have. I think you'll see those guys in different roles, and it's just the nature of the way college athletics are. But the momentum of how we play this game, how we start the season, is always important going into our off season.
You talked after the last game about kind of recruiting Jayshon Jones, and not asking you to break any news here, but I'm just curious, what makes him a guy that you want to have in your program, and just what has he meant to the team the past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, Jayshon is one of those guys. I mean, he plays the game the way it should be played. He's a physical guy. He's emotional about it. You think about what he's brought to the table from us on offense, a leadership standpoint, but losing 2 years, pretty close to 2 years of opportunities with just the injuries he's had, it's all about trying to create value for himself. And, I know he's a guy that has a future at the next level. If he were to decide to do it now, and I'm sure he'd get drafted and talented enough to go and make a team. But just to me, the fact that this COVID year that they are able to take advantage of, it's kind of double-edged sword, because we've had some really talented players that are in the transfer portal, not because we wanted them to go, but getting the extra year and now having to decide to recruit a high school player with the scholarship, and now the kid commits, and then a senior decides, well, I want to come back for my COVID year, or he could decide I want to turn pro. And so the NCAA's kind of handcuffed us to where, I've made the decision that we'll recruit high school guys. Most of the guys, like a Jayshon, that are in the portal for that COVID year have all earned degrees or will have earned their degrees from Maryland. So it's a tough situation, but Jayshon is one of those guys. When you look at our receiver room, the way it's been impacted with guys leaving and graduating, it'd be great to have a veteran presence like him back there. And he means a lot because of the leadership, the toughness, and he's a really good route runner.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Varun, here comes the good one.
Wanted to ask, you talked about the young players that you guys are going to have out there. Is there any in particular that you're really excited to see on the field?
All of them. The young receivers obviously are going to have to play with, guys like Dante and Jacob entering the draft and preparing for their next life. So I see guys like Octavian Smith. I see guys, Leon Houghton stepping up. Ty Felton has played a major role all year long, and just kind of a complementary role to the receivers that we've had. But I think all those guys, Corey Dyches continues to be one of those guys. So I think you'll see a lot of young guys in the secondary that'll have the impact, a chance to play. So, I mean, when you look across the board, we've prepared for this because we play a lot of players. And now I always say this at the beginning of the year, that when we rotate and play a lot of these guys, it's because of times like this where they have to play. And now we've got some seasoned young players that have been able to maybe get their feet wet some.
Just going off of that, with now the transfer portal where players can leave basically at the end of the regular season, is it becoming more of a necessity now more than ever where you have to, play young guys so they can be prepared for moments when they have to step up, like in bowl games when the key players leave?
I mean, I learned this. Again, I didn't invent it. I liked what we did at Alabama. Obviously, we dealt with guys turning pro, leaving early. But to develop a player does not get better sitting on the bench. He just doesn't. And so I think the only way you really see them evolve and grow as players is by having the opportunity to go play. And so, the way we work here and the way we develop players, which allows them to create the value that they've created for themselves, whether it's leaving to go somewhere else through the transfer portal or playing in the NFL, it just works that way. And so, it just so happens that we lose players at the end of the year who make decisions that's best for them. And us having prepared for this by playing a lot of the young players or playing meaningful minutes with some of the players that maybe, take some plays off some of our starters, but it's definitely beneficial for our program to do it.
And also, do you have an update if Rakim Jarrett will play in the bowl game or not?
I think there's going to be a special announcement after this, so you may have to just stay tuned a little longer, Ryan.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, man?
You've talked before about re-recruiting guys that are already on the roster. Can you talk about what goes into that process of convincing guys to stay instead of enter the transfer portal?
You know what? You don't convince them to stay. Usually when they enter the portal, this thing has already kind of have simmered or been thought about or behind the scenes has been talked about as family. For me, it's more the COVID year guys that have that extra year that, we haven't filled those slots. I'm a big believer I'm going to build this team with high school players. We'll use the transfer portal to fill needs, but I just believe to have a consistency in the locker room, it has to be with guys that have come through your program. And, we'll rent a guy here or there for a year or two to fill needs like we do when we recruit junior college players. But you can expect us to be high school recruiting. The tough part is like I said, the NCAA handcuffs you because now they gave everybody a COVID year, but they didn't increase your amount of scholarships you can have, which they did the first year, and we were over the 85. But now they have to decide a guy that's graduated, that has his degree, that has really laid a foundation for us to be where we are as a program, or do I continue to build for the future of our program? And those are the tough decisions that have to be made, and that's why when I talk about entering the portal, everybody has a reason for why they do it, and we're supportive of all of our players and their, whatever they decide to do, we're in support of. Now, there are some that I try to recruit to stay and to help me continue to build the program, but, everybody's making their own decisions as they should be allowed to.
Coach, there's a term we used to use called team building. How does all this that you're talking about, how many moving pieces there are, how does that impact your ability to build a team?
Yeah, that's a tough question. And on a day, I thought about that this morning as I went and got my teeth fixed. Losing Mike Leach kind of put some things in a perspective of just, football is the ultimate team sport, has been and always will be. But with some of the things that have been put in place now that allows it to become a little more individualized, and players now being more focused on what they can get out of their situations, as they should be, it really, really affects the ability to build a team. We worked all year with the anticipation of, talking about staying committed and connected. And I thought our team did a tremendous job, and it started with the 18 guys that exhausted their eligibility, guys that have been in this program for 2-3 years that have been through a lot here, that they were able to keep it together, even though it wasn't easy. And so, for us as coaches, we got to continue to adjust. We got to continue to figure out the dynamics of dealing with this day and age of student athletes. They swipe left quick, man. They come in, we develop them, we create value for themselves, and then they swipe left. And what else can I get out of this? So I'm all for it. Coaches have had this ability to swipe left and start over and go other places. I think the players have it now, but it definitely affects your ability to build team. And for an ultimate team sport like football, it's getting tougher and tougher at this level.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned after the bowl announcement that the expectation is that Talia will play in the bowl game. Have you had any conversations with him yet about what next year might look like for him?
Not really, other than as far as I know, he plans to return. There's always, can't say always, but he's been practicing, leading the charge there. We're excited about it. We'll continue to build the system around the things he does well and develop him. It's great to be able to recruit, knowing that you've got a second-team all-conference quarterback coming back that has a tremendous skill set and has played a major role in the elevation of our program, along with a few others.
You got more out of your running game this year than last year. You saw a lot of improvement there. You're going to have some different tight ends for this game. But talk about the balance you're hoping to look for coming up in this bowl game. What are you preparing to do?
Yeah, what I've got to do is get through this signing day window to kind of see who we've got left. Every day it's kind of COVID prepared me for this because you walk out and you figure out who's left to play. But I can tell you we've created enough depth and skill where we need to have it that we'll be able to put together a really good game plan for NC State. For us, it's always been about getting your best players the ball on offense, on defense. It's, creating turnovers and limiting big plays, and those will still play a major role in the outcome of this game. I know our players have spent, we had 3 practices a week ago. We're going every day this week, reinstalling our systems, reinstalling basically the first 4 or 5 installs of our offense, defense, and special teams. Because when we get better fundamentally, we get better collectively. So really excited about how we've looked and what we've done. And as we get into our game planning on Monday, we'll put together the best plan we can to find a way to go down to Charlotte and hopefully come away with a victory. Yeah, so one of the things, that I think we're going to try to start to do, so many players have the opportunity to make decisions in their lives, and one of the things I always want is to continue to teach and mold young players into how you do certain things. And, what I would like to see as we continue to progress as a program is our players have the ability to come up in front of you guys and share their intentions. So many times they can hide behind an edit, thanking people and congratulating their teammates and declaring for the draft or transfer portal. But I think part of us in teaching young people, young men, the importance of being able to communicate and get into why is important. And so, this young man, not a kid anymore, man, did more for our program the last 3 years and how he elevated it, not just as a player, but being a local guy that made the decision to stay home. And, I invited a bunch of our former guys that have already declared to be able to come up and do this, and he's one of the few that decided to do it this way. And so I want to bring Rakim Jarrett up here to allow him to share a few words with you guys and about where he sees himself and his future. So I'll bring up Rakim Jarrett.